Have you ever felt like your head was heavy, like you were forgetting simple names, or that your thinking had become slow and foggy? Have you ever found yourself trying to remember where you left your keys, only to realize they were in your hand all along? Well, you're not alone. The truth is that thousands of people today are experiencing a daily mental blackout, and the most surprising part is that many of these issues are rooted in something as simple as a nutritional deficiency. What most people don't know is that one of the most essential nutrients for proper brain function and one of the most overlooked in modern diets is called choline. And the egg, that humble, affordable egg, happens to be one of the richest natural sources of this vital nutrient. When you eat a whole egg, you're delivering more than 100 milligrams of choline directly to your brain. Yes, that's right. And as simple as that may seem, it can profoundly impact your focus, memory, mood, even your emotional well-being. Choline is used to build the membranes of our cells, including those of our neurons. Without it, communication between neurons weakens, leading to memory lapses, constant mental fatigue, and even mood swings. Now think about this. How many people do you know who live in a constant state of mental exhaustion, complaining of stress, forgetfulness, and anxiety? And how many of them have even heard of choline? I see this every single day in my clinic. Patients who think they're dealing with depression or burnout when in fact their brains are simply undernourished. And the saddest part? Many are afraid to eat eggs because of outdated myths about cholesterol. They're literally depriving themselves of a natural and affordable remedy that could revitalize their nervous system. And it doesn't stop there. Eggs are also rich in vitamin B12, another essential nutrient for the brain and peripheral nerves. A deficiency in vitamin B12 is directly linked to symptoms like mental confusion, tingling sensations, loss of motor coordination, and even dementia in elderly people. It's one of the first things I investigate when a patient reports cognitive issues. The first question I ask is, how's your diet? Do you eat eggs regularly? What about you? Have you ever asked yourself that? Eating well is a choice, but eating smart is a strategy. There's no point in taking expensive supplements or following trendy diets if you're forgetting the basics, what nature has already given you in a food designed to sustain life from the very beginning. And I'm not alone in saying this. Neuroscientist David Perlmutter, author of several best-selling books on brain health, openly supports egg consumption as a way to preserve cognitive function as we age. And we're talking about a globally respected expert. So, if you're still uncertain, let me ask you a question. How much is your clarity of mind worth? How much would you pay to wake up clear-headed, to keep your memory sharp, and to not fear aging with cognitive decline? Your diet is your most powerful preventative tool, and the egg is a truly powerful ally in that journey. Try adding 1 or 2 eggs to your breakfast in a simple and healthy way. Give your brain that chance. And just watch. In 1 week, you might notice improvements in mental energy, focus, even your mood. Because when the brain is properly nourished, everything else in the body starts to work better. You can keep relying on so-called miracle pills, or you can trust what science has already made undeniably clear, that choline and the vitamins found in eggs are essential for a healthy brain. This food, once unfairly criticized, could now be one of the most powerful allies for your mental health. Think about that before your next breakfast. Because sometimes the answer to your mental fatigue might be right there, inside the shell of an egg. Have you ever felt that sudden hunger, even just a short while after eating? That nearly uncontrollable urge to snack before lunch or in the middle of the afternoon? It's more common than you might think, and the reason may lie in the poor choices made at the very beginning of your day. Many people start their morning with white bread, cookies, or boxed juice, and then wonder why they're always tired, hungry, gaining weight, and lacking energy. The problem isn't quantity, it's quality. When you choose foods low in nutrients but high in glycemic index, your body responds with sudden glucose spikes followed by abrupt crashes. The result? You're hungry again quickly, your mood swings, fatigue kicks in, and you look for something fast to eat, usually something sweet or processed, and the cycle begins again. But what if I told you that the simple habit of eating eggs for breakfast could break this vicious cycle and have a real impact on your metabolism and weight control? Eggs are among the most filling foods available, and this isn't speculation, it's a fact backed by research. They are rich in high biological value protein, meaning they contain all the essential amino acids your body needs in the right amounts and with excellent digestibility. When you consume this type of protein early in the day, your body responds with increased satiety, metabolic activation, and blood sugar stabilization. That means less hunger throughout the day, fewer cravings for junk food, and more control over your appetite. I've already recommended this to many patients trying to lose weight or struggling with dietary discipline. The advice was simple: replace the traditional breakfast, high in flour and sugar, with one that includes eggs cooked in a healthy way. And the feedback was nearly unanimous. "Doctor, I never imagined that 2 eggs in the morning could keep me full until lunch." That's powerful, because it's not about counting calories, but about eating what actually works with your body's physiology. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about miracle diets or trendy fads. I'm talking about a food habit rooted in science. One study published in the International Journal of Obesity compared 2 groups, one that ate eggs for breakfast and another that ate bread, both with the same number of calories. The egg group lost approximately 65% more weight, reduced their waist circumference more significantly, and reported more energy and less hunger throughout the day. This happened without any change to the rest of their diet. The total cost of this study was approximately 110 United States dollars, which equals around 9,500 Indian rupees. And there's more. Eating eggs regularly helps stabilize blood sugar levels, which is an enormous benefit for people with diabetes or those who are pre-diabetic. When blood glucose rises and falls rapidly, it not only triggers hunger, but also promotes fat accumulation and inflammation in the body. With eggs, these spikes are reduced, and that makes a massive difference in weight control over the medium and long term. Have you ever stopped to imagine what your life would be like if that constant hunger just vanished? If you could eat calmly, without guilt, and without the anxiety of wanting to eat again shortly after. This isn't a fantasy. It's exactly what happens when you align your diet with what your body truly needs. And I know that for many people, changing eating habits seems hard. But think with me, what's easier? Trying to follow restrictive diets that leave you frustrated and stuck in a yo-yo effect? Or changing just one part of your day, breakfast, by adding a food that brings satiety, nutrition, and is cheap and easy to prepare? If you're still unsure, do a test. Swap your usual breakfast for eggs for 7 days. They can be boiled, scrambled with olive oil, or poached with vegetables. Pay attention to how you feel. Notice if your urge to snack between meals decreases, and see what this does to your body and your mind. Oh, and if you want a famous example for inspiration, look at the case of the singer Adele. During her physical transformation, one of the cornerstones of her new dietary routine was the regular intake of high-quality protein, and eggs were on her plate every single morning. That's no coincidence. That's strategy. And remember, the goal isn't to lose weight for looks. It's to take back control of your hunger, your choices, your body. It's to live with more lightness, more health, and more energy. And sometimes that all begins with something as simple as cracking 2 eggs in the morning. Many people fear cholesterol, and rightly so. After all, it's linked to one of the leading causes of death in the world, cardiovascular disease. But what few people know is that within the cholesterol conversation, there's a crucial detail that changes everything. It's a type of fat in the blood called triglyceride. It's less talked about than cholesterol, but just as dangerous. And if you've stayed with me this far, you'll be surprised to learn that something as simple as eating eggs, especially the right kind, can help control this silent villain. High triglycerides basically mean there's fat floating around in your bloodstream. And the worst part is, most people don't feel a thing. It doesn't hurt, and there are no visible signs. But inside, it's accumulating on the walls of your arteries, contributing to plaques that can cause heart attacks or strokes. Have you ever had a blood test and the doctor said your triglycerides were slightly elevated? Maybe you didn't think much of it, but you should have. Now here's what really matters. There's a natural way to help lower triglycerides, and it's on your plate. When you eat eggs enriched with omega-3, these essential fatty acids act directly on the regulation of blood fats, significantly reducing triglyceride levels. Why omega-3 eggs? Because nowadays there are eggs produced by hens fed special diets rich in flaxseed, chia, or algae. This gives the eggs a higher concentration of this nutrient, and in turn provides an even more powerful cardiovascular benefit. Eggs. Affordable, simple, and powerful. Sometimes the biggest changes in life begin with the smallest decisions. And this change may not only transform your body, but your entire life. Many people fear cholesterol, and rightly so. After all, it's linked to one of the leading causes of death in the world, cardiovascular disease. But what few people know is that within the cholesterol conversation, there's a crucial detail that changes everything. It's a type of fat in the blood called triglyceride. It's less talked about than cholesterol, but just as dangerous. And if you've stayed with me this far, you'll be surprised to learn that something as simple as eating eggs, especially the right kind, can help control this silent villain. High triglycerides basically mean there's fat floating around in your bloodstream. And the worst part is, most people don't feel a thing. It doesn't hurt, and there are no visible signs. But inside, it's accumulating on the walls of your arteries, contributing to plaques that can cause heart attacks or strokes. Have you ever had a blood test and the doctor said your triglycerides were slightly elevated? Maybe you didn't think much of it, but you should have. Now here's what really matters. There's a natural way to help lower triglycerides, and it's on your plate. When you eat eggs enriched with omega-3, these essential fatty acids act directly on the regular. If you're thinking, but doctor, I thought eggs raised cholesterol? I completely understand. This has been one of the greatest misconceptions ever spread by medical science. For decades, eggs were wrongly blamed for increasing bad cholesterol. But now we know that the cholesterol found in food has little direct impact on blood cholesterol levels for most people. The real culprits are saturated fats and an excess of refined carbohydrates, which do raise both LDL and triglyceride levels. The truth is, even though eggs contain cholesterol, they are low in saturated fat. That makes them safe and, in many cases, beneficial for heart health. And when you choose eggs enriched with omega-3, you're taking it a step further. You're giving your body a powerful tool to reduce vascular inflammation and keep arteries clearer. And it's not just my opinion. Dozens of scientific studies published in journals like the Journal of Nutrition and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition support this. Let me ask you something. Do you know someone who eats well, gets checkups, yet still has high triglycerides? It's more common than you might think. And often, the reason lies in an unbalanced diet, low in healthy fats and high in simple carbohydrates. And yes, that person might be avoiding exactly the food that could help them. On the other hand, we also have inspiring examples. Former footballer Ronaldo, known as the Phenomenon, went through a deep dietary transformation in recent years. In interviews, he shared that he started including eggs regularly in his meals on medical advice to help manage his cholesterol and improve overall diet quality. A simple change with real impact. Now, this doesn't mean you should start eating eggs excessively. Moderation is still essential. But the point is, when well chosen and properly prepared, boiled, poached, or scrambled with olive oil, eggs can be powerful allies not just for weight control, but for protecting your cardiovascular system. Your heart won't wait until something goes wrong to demand your attention. Triglycerides rise silently. No alarms, no symptoms until something serious happens. But you can act now, with every meal, every decision. And including omega-3 eggs in your routine is one of those decisions that makes sense. Practical, accessible, and backed by science. So next time you look at an egg, remember, it might be one of the simplest and most effective ingredients for protecting your heart. Don't underestimate the power of small habits, because in the end, it's the repetition of those little choices that shapes your future, for better or for worse. The choice is on your plate. Have you ever really stopped to think about the impact a simple egg can have on your heart health? I know, that might sound exaggerated, maybe even ridiculous. But science is showing more and more clearly that eggs, when consumed wisely, can act as a natural shield against one of the most feared threats, stroke. And here's something you may have never been told. There's a type of stroke called hemorrhagic stroke, which occurs when a blood vessel in the brain ruptures. Unlike ischemic stroke, which is caused by a blockage, hemorrhagic strokes are more sudden, more severe, and often more fatal. Now, if I told you there's a clear association between regular egg consumption and reduced risk of this kind of stroke, would you believe it? Well, that's exactly what a study conducted in China proved. They followed thousands of people for several years and found that those who ate at least one egg a day had nearly 30% lower risk of dying from a hemorrhagic stroke compared to those who avoided eggs. That's not a small difference. It's statistically significant, and it just might change the way you look at your breakfast from now on. But why does this happen? The answer lies in the unique combination of nutrients that eggs provide. They are rich in choline, B-complex vitamins, antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, along with vitamin D, selenium, and a good amount of high-quality protein. This composition has anti-inflammatory effects, helps stabilize blood pressure, improves the elasticity of blood vessels, and reduces oxidative stress, all of which, if left unchecked, increase the risk of cerebral blood vessel rupture. And it's at this point that I pause and ask you, do you know someone who has suffered a stroke? Someone who suddenly lost movement, the ability to speak, or even their life? I do. Patients, friends of patients, even family members. And in many of these cases, what I witnessed was years of silent neglect, poor dietary habits, untreated high blood pressure, a sedentary lifestyle, small choices that when added up lead to tragedy. And perhaps this is closer to your own reality than you'd like to admit. Some people only change after a scare, but ideally, you act before that. And believe me, small changes can make all the difference. Eating eggs regularly, when prepared the right way, can be one of those changes. And let me emphasize this. We're not talking about overdoing it or frying eggs and butter with bacon, but about a balanced diet where the egg plays the role of a healthy protagonist. In fact, one of the leading causes of hemorrhagic stroke is poorly managed hypertension. And eggs, with their high-quality protein and micronutrients like potassium, help regulate blood pressure. The protein helps keep plasma volume stable, while potassium promotes the elimination of sodium, a natural effect that supports blood pressure control. And it doesn't have to be a drastic change. You can start right now. Include 1 or 2 eggs in your breakfast or lunch, preferably boiled or scrambled with olive oil, and pair them with vegetables. Over time, you'll not only feel more satiated and energetic, but you'll also be protecting your blood vessels and lowering the risk of serious events like stroke. And since we're talking about real-life impact, let me remind you of a public figure we lost far too early to a stroke: the singer Emilio Santiago, a beloved artist with a brilliant career, but who unfortunately suffered a hemorrhagic stroke and did not survive. I'm not saying that eggs would have prevented this, but I am saying that when it comes to prevention, every choice matters. And if there's something accessible, backed by science, and that can help, why not use it? What I truly hope is that you start to see food with new eyes, not just as something that fills you up, but as a tool for protection, longevity, and independence. Because in the end, the greatest freedom we can have is to grow old in good health. And that often begins with what you put on your plate, every single day. Like a simple egg, like a daily act of care, like a choice that could save your life without you even noticing. If there's one thing I want you to take from this video, it's this. The egg is not your enemy. On the contrary, it could be one of your greatest allies in the pursuit of a more balanced, protected, and energetic life. Eating eggs every day the right way is a simple decision that can bring profound results to your body, your brain, and your heart. And if that makes sense to you, then it's time to take the next step in your health journey. The next video that's now appearing on your screen will show you exactly how to do that. I'll see you there, and thank you for being here with me today.